voice17104.com. This is Zanetta Wingfield, and you're listening to the voice17104.com. The voice17104.com.
Hello and welcome. I'd like to invite you to just enjoy the experience that we're about to encounter. I'd like to introduce to you a man of a very humble beginning, a man that was able to overcome the horrific misclassification of special education. A caring man, a man that will encourage you because he's been there and done that. And I'd like to encourage you to keep an open mind and be empowered to change your life. I'd like to present to you a man of men, Richard Utley. Richard Utley.
Good evening, and welcome to another Did You Know? Well, we got an exciting program tonight, but as usual, I'm going to open up with some things that I'm very concerned about, and I will continue to bring out. Those of you who are not registered to vote, you got to get registered to vote. The election in 2024 will be very important. Matter of fact, it will be critical to your life. If you think I'm joking, just keep reading the papers, watching the newspapers, and watching TV, and you'll find out how important it is for you to register to vote. And a lot of times you say that you don't think that your vote counts. And I've seen where elections have been won by 100, 200, 300 votes, sometimes even 30 votes. So your vote is very important. But not only your vote is very important, as I've said to you before, you have to make that person that you're going to vote for and elect be accountable to you. If they don't serve our purposes, if they don't look out for the community, and they don't look out for our self-wealth, then we need to unelect them. Because I think that's very important. And I always tell you we got to keep our eye on the needle. So you have to watch where the country's going. So I'm telling all of you, if you're not registered to vote, there's no excuse. I'm telling you ahead of time. I'm telling you in 2023, and I'll be telling you this in 2024. That's how important it is. The second thing is, those of you who do a lot of talking all the time about elected officials, maybe you should step up to the plate and run for office. So now is the time for you to sit back and think about that you're going to run for office, and you should do that because a lot of you can bring a lot to the table, whether it's school board, whether it's municipalities, whether it's judges. It could be many things. And I want you to think about it and maybe make that your New Year's resolution, because right around in the middle of January, it'll be time, especially in Pennsylvania, to sign petitions to run in the primary. So I will say to you, those of you who do a lot of talking, it's time for you to step up to the plate. I'm going to close with this because I have some concerns. I participated. I went to the state championships, and they were in Cumberland County over at Cumberland Valley High School over last weekend. I went to 3 games. I went to a Friday night game. I went to a Saturday night game, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Here's my point. PIAA. My concern is that we need to get some more referees and officials. And I say that because I want to say that I think if we have more referees and officials, I think we'll feel comfortable in some of the judgment calls. But if we're not out there and we sit in the stands and we complain all the time, it doesn't serve any purpose. It only serves a purpose if we step up to the plate. So I'm encouraging many of you, please become referees. Please, some of you become officials. We need you. We need you so that we can make sure that our young people, that our kids can have a fair playing field. I think that's how important it is. I'm sure you gather that I'm not happy about the way some of the games and outlets come, and that may well be true. But if we don't sit at the table, then how are we going to say anything? So I'm asking you to think about being a referee. I'm asking you to think about being an official. They're looking for you. They tell me they can't find you. So I'm going to find you and I'm going to carry you there. So you can go on the PIA website and they'll tell you how to become an official. Whatever sport, doesn't have to be football. It could be football, it could be track, it could be swimming, it could be golf, it could be many, many, many things that you can do. So I just want you to know I'm putting a call out. I'm shouting out to you because that's how important it is. Well, tonight I have a different program on. And when I say I have a different program, as I've often told you, I try to bring people on that are different. I try to tell people what their journeys is. And so, I'm going to open with these words. I matter, you matter, we matter. We all matter together. And since I believe that, and I've always believed that, I decided that I have a guest on tonight, and I think he will be very, very, very interesting to you because I'm going to ask them to tell their story. And I have someone on tonight. I have Willia on. And the whole subject is going to be, oh, what a journey. So Willia, you have my audience on, so please tell them a little bit about you, your journey. And then you and I can get into some dialogue. So please tell us who you are and how you got to where you are.
Well, Richard, thanks for having me here tonight. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here in this very nice studio. My name's Willia. I am in charge of a pool, and I'm a lifeguard instructor and a CPR instructor, and I teach swim lessons. And I'm in a good spot now. I wasn't always in a good spot. It's been a long road. I've had a lot of trials and tribulations through my life, and I think that I'm where I need to be now. And it's such a good feeling when you were lost for so long to finally be in a place where you feel comfortable and where you're happy and being who you are and who you want to be. For years, I was sure that God had forsaken me, and I recently rediscovered God, and I think He's showing me a better way right now.
Well, when you say that, and I'm going to go from the beginning and move and go the other way. Okay, growing up as a child, what established your foundation to where you were? And as you, I'd like you to tell my audience from the foundation where you started, as you continue to go up and down. We all know that life has peaks and valleys, and Lord knows we all hope we have more peaks than valleys. So I just want the audience to kind of understand the purpose of my program of Did You Know is to give people an opportunity to hear somebody else's story so that they can, because somebody out there may say, oh, you know what? I've gone through the same thing, so I'm not the only one. Because I believe that if information is very important, and a lot of times I believe not only information is important, that if we didn't know this, then we may not understand it. That's why I think history is a very important thing, because you know what's going on. So as you come on my program and you articulate your story, I'd like for you, that's why I called it, oh, what a journey. I'd like for you to let's just start from the point A and then go all the way up.
Thank you, Richard. A lot of my life started and ended, I believe, when my father was killed in a horrific car accident when I was 9 years old. After that, it was just, as a matter of fact, it was so long ago that I don't really hardly remember my father, which makes me sad there all by itself. And I still harbor a lot of grief with the loss of my dad. I don't think I ever got over it. Um, I think it caused me a lot of issues socially and whatnot, not having a father figure around. Um, my mom, she did the best she could, but she too was having a hard time losing a husband at such a young age. He was only 28 years old, so she was even younger than that. So, you know, you can't blame your parents for what happened to you, but it certainly did affect me in a lot of ways. Um, my mom ended up meeting another man later and married him, and he was kind of a little different towards punishment wise. Anyways, there was no timeouts and stuff like that. You usually got the fist or worse or whatever. So in between there, I was befriended by a neighbor, and you know, we'd take me fishing and whatnot, and ended up being you know, abused as an 11-year-old, and that really affected me greatly, and still does. You try not to think about it, but you drag it along with you as you age. It does affect your personality, I believe, and a lot of I've had a lot of loss in my life since then. It seems like every man that I've ever looked up to as like father figure type of thing has died in some form or another. Case in point, my stepdad, who he ended up drowning in the river. Then, not that I really looked up to him that much, but he was, you know, a male figure in my life. I ended up moving in with. I couldn't live with my mom, so like at early age, maybe 16 or 17, I ended up in my own on my own. Got kicked out of high school. Ended up finishing in a parochial school. For I always called it us extra gifted people, you know. So I did end up graduating though, which was good. I was living with another man that I worked with till I got out of school, and then I got an apartment with a friend. And the man I was living with, he ended up dying of a heart attack. He went in for surgery, and he died on the table. So that was really tough. Also grasping that, I still was only like 18 years old. So I had my best friend then, and I was working at a foundry then, very hard work. Worked my way up from being the grunt to the boss of the shop, you know, and did pretty well with that. But you know, things change. My boss that I worked for, he also died. I worked with him for over 20 years, and we were good friends. So that's another one. And 2 weeks later, my best friend killed himself. So I've had a lot of loss in my life. I just recently lost my grandmother, and who I was very close to and very fond of. Gonna miss her very much. So I've been a maintenance person pretty much of my life, fixing machines and welding and stuff like that. But it was not where I was happy. I was very unhappy with my life. It seemed like when things just started going good, all of a sudden they would go not good. You know, it seemed like I felt like I was always being punished for deeds that I had done.
So when you say that you thought that you were punished for the deeds that you had done, is that when you felt that God had forsaken you?
It is, yes.
So when you felt that way, that God had forsaken you, what veered you back to now believing that God Almighty has got you to where you are now?
Well, I made a leap of jobs. The job I was doing, I really wasn't able to be myself at all. And I was very unhappy. I liked what I was doing, but I didn't like what I was doing, if you know what I mean. And then a job opened up that offered me an opportunity to be myself and veer off in a different direction, something I had never really done. I had been a lifeguard for a while, but not as a full-time job. And I was offered a full-time position, and even better if I would, get some certifications under my belt. And I figured one day I went for a walk here in Harrisburg, and I walked past St. Patrick's, and for some reason I walked past it, and something made me stop. I turned around, I walked up the steps, and I reached out, I grabbed a handle, and discovered the door was unlocked. So I thought that was rather strange in the middle of the day in the city, but I walked in, and I was able to just walk in and sit down and talk to God. I cried, and I seen that they had a mass. I'm gonna cry now. At noon every day, so I started going on my lunch hour to church. I feel much better.
You feel much better? Is that after you went up to the church and then you reconnected to God, is that now do you feel much more peaceful? How do you feel spiritually and psychologically?
Well, it's making me think more of being a better person. I feel like I'm a better person now than I used to be. I was not always a good person. So it has helped me grow, and I really enjoy helping people now. I was never went out of my way to be mean to people, but I didn't always like myself.
Okay, let's go back. Okay, we'll stop there. I'd like to go back. Now, you grew up where? You grew up, you grew up urban, rural,
Rural, out in the country.
and how was that as you're growing up?
Oh, that part was awesome. Riding my bicycle around, with your fishing rod on the creek and fishing and swimming in the creek and camping outside. I worked on a farm at a very early age until I was old enough to work. I've always worked at least 2 jobs at a time, it seems like my whole life.
Did that give you any what I'm trying to ask you is, did it give you, as you grew up, did it give you any foundation in terms of who you were, what you were, and how you perceived it in the environment that you were in? Because I understand when you share with us that the men figures or the male figures in your life, it just ended up, most of them died, and it was a bleak time for you, and I understand that. But I guess what I'm asking you is that you went through some growing pains as well. So what I'm trying to ask is that did you have to experience the bullying? Did you have to experience being different? Did you have to experience those kinds of things? And the reason I try to connect those, because I try to connect them overall, because it could be gender, it could be race, it could be religion, because I think those things are very important.
I was not bullied. I actually hid myself very well. Always being the masculine, I always tried to be the crazier one out of the bunch, it seemed like overcompensating is how I look at it now. So no, I was not bullied or nothing. Actually, often I was the bully. I feel that I overcompensated with having girlfriends and whatnot, trying to prove that I was something that I wasn't. With the friends that I had, there was no way you could act the way I felt. So,
Tell me, how did you cope? How did you cope with your life? Because basically, from this conversation,
drugs and alcohol.
drugs and alcohol.
I've always had older friends in places that it was easily for me to get, and I always had a job, so I always had money. So drugs was an out for me. Alcohol was definitely an out. By the age of 12, I was already had a bag of weed in my pocket all the time, and had access to alcohol freely.
So I want to go a little deeper. And the reason I want to go a little deeper is because I know there's somebody out there that feels the same way. So you thought that the drugs and the alcohol, what was that? Was that to try to just lessen the pain? Was it the frustration or what?
It made you not think about it
Okay.
so much because you're so busy partying, and back in the day I was the guy, that you went to a lot of times for your drug, or whatever.
Okay.
Um,
Did that help you belong with the group of people?
It did.
Because
it did. I fit in. They actually looked. They were looked for me to come. To show up and bring my candy or whatever I had in my pocket.
So that
it made me feel like I belonged to something. And actually, it to the point where that's all I wanted to do. Because it made me feel like I was part of something. Good or bad, I was part of something.
You were part of something in that, and in that way you can mask what you were going through.
Exactly. Because what I was wearing, how I was acting inside was feeling inside was not the way.
Did you feel alone and confused?
I did.
How did you navigate that?
I have stuffed it in, stuffed it under. Tried to hide it, which made me, in my opinion, do things that you wouldn't normally do, act out,
Mm-hmm.
do careless things.
As we're talking, what would you tell the audience the most important things that you've gone through to help you move along?
Well, they say what don't kill you makes you stronger, and I'm a true believer in that. I am a survivor. I will stay alive as long as I can fight for it. I think you should always, looking back, I wish I could have been myself a lot longer, long time ago. I think if you want to be successful, you need to be yourself.
So you would tell my audiences that one of the most important things is to be
true to yourself.
True to yourself.
Yes.
And you have found, since you have been true to yourself, you're much more at peace.
I am.
How do you look at what's going on in our society at this point, especially in America?
Wow, you watch the news and stuff. It's just unbelievable what people are capable of doing to each other. I mean, running over people in parades and shooting people just out of sheer hate for someone else. I don't quite understand the hate between just because you're a different religion or a different color. We are all people, we all have feelings, we all have lives, we all have children, we all have grandchildren. We're all basically the same. So I have no prejudice against really anybody, and I don't think people should act that way. I think we should work together. Maybe we could fix some things, if we all work together.
Well, let's go back to Okay, let's go back to let's have some other questions. So, did you ever deny your emotions to who you were? Not only denying them, I'm talking two parts. Denying your emotions in terms of where you are now and where you were before and how you perceived it with the wisdom of God that you believe in now.
So of course I denied my feelings because where I come from, it's not normal for sure. It's definitely, so you try to hide them and you're hoping maybe it's just, would go away or something, but after a while it's just there. And after years of therapy, I've been in therapy for most of my life, and it's very helpful.
So tell me,
I did try to commit suicide a long time ago, and I'm glad it was not successful. I'm
okay,
glad I'm alive today.
Okay, and let's talk about that for a minute. So at one point you were going to commit suicide.
I tried. I ended up.
You tried. Why did you try? Because you just felt. Why?
Just felt so alone and so depressed that it seemed like I had made such a mess of my life that was the only way out.
Okay. And so you made that decision. So why weren't you successful at it? Did somebody intervene?
Someone did intervene. Someone intervened and they got me to the hospital before anything happened. And I actually discovered that even though I took all the medicine I had, it wouldn't have really killed me anyways.
You did not know that, but you thought it was you at that point. You wanted.
I thought it would have, because I took like all of it.
And you and you wanted it. You just wanted.
I thought it was done. Yeah.
You wanted to be done.
I did.
And then when you didn't succeed, what turned you around?
I don't know. My family rallied behind me for a while anyways, and got me through it. I had friends that got me.
So family and friends somewhat reached up to support you, to realize that you looked at life so bleak that you was willing to end it. And so therefore you knew you had a second chance.
I did.
Is that how you looked at it?
I believe, yes.
That's how you believe you had a second chance. And so when you thought you had a second chance, is that when that's when you started going to therapy?
No, I was in therapy before that.
Oh,
I've been in therapy since I was probably 15 years old.
You've been in therapy since you were 15. Do you
I still go now.
You still go. Do you feel that it's a very supportive kind of thing?
Therapist I have now, I've been seeing for probably 10 years now. He's very helpful to me because I really have no one to talk to about things. So he's my go-to person. He understands me. He knows me very well, and I'm very honest with him, and we have a good relationship. I always come out of there feeling better than when I went in. We all have our days. I have days where I just would like to crawl in a hole and not come out. But then the people I work with and things I do help me a lot. Helping the people that I help. I work with some very nice people.
So that's how you feel that you have worth. What makes you think? I'm just asking this question. Worth is very important. We all feel we have worth. So tell me how you went from when you didn't think you were valuable, because that's what you were, and now you see yourself as a worthy kind of person.
I feel that.
You feel that you are, which is good. So what would you tell somebody that's listening that maybe sort of kind of went through some of the things that you went through before? What would you tell them?
Help somebody else out. I'll tell you a good one.
Sure.
A couple of weeks ago, I was had really bad feelings in the morning. I'm still going through a lot, just like everybody else in this world, right? And I'm sitting at a red light in Harrisburg here, coming to work, and I'm witnessing a blind woman walking across the street. I'm watching her walk across the street, and she gets across the street, and she's got her cane, and she gets between the sign and a fire hydrant instead of being on the path, and she had to kind of squeeze between the two. And I thought, how brave she must be. And my life is not so bad after all. When you think you have it really bad, your neighbor could have it way worse. You just don't know. So I keep that in mind when I'm having a bad day. I keep her vision in my head when I'm having a bad day. It could be a lot worse than.
So when you think you're having bad or you have a bad day, you look at the positive things around you.
I try to. Yeah.
You try to look at the positive thing, and that's what you would recommend people needs to look at the
positive.
The positive.
Your life might be bad. Things in your life could be bad. To think about someone else who could have it way worse, who can't even drive themselves to work, or walk out for lunch and have a nice lunch or something. That doesn't have the freedom.
Okay, so you would say this, and I'm just asking this, after you got the second chance, so you like to tell my audience as well here is that what would you think before you try to make that final decision? And the reason I'm asking that question, we hear so much nowadays about people committing suicide, and it's easy to say whatever. And so because you got a second chance, you would tell this audience what they need to, if they get a second chance, or they need to be appreciative of it, they need to take hold of it.
Life is short. Grasp it, take it by the horns, and grasp life and live life. Life can be good if you have the positive attitude. You have to make things happen for yourself.
I'd like for you to repeat this to the audience again, because as I shared with you earlier on when you came on, I want my programs to be about something. Did you know? I want you, the reason I have you on here, because I want you to share your story, because somebody out there may be going through some of the same things. And if you're successful at one, then you've done a good job. So, okay, so you went on and told me that, okay, you grew up, and then you talked about the males in your family and the fact that all of them pretty well had tragic endings, and so therefore it left a void. in your life.
Yes.
And do you still have that void?
I do still have that.
Why do you think you still have that void?
Because I still don't have that bond, the male bond. Never did have it. You know what I mean? Now my best friend had killed himself. I had a bond there.
Well, let me ask you this: is it the bond? Is it some of it closure? Because you talked about your father dying when he was 28, and you saw that as a void, and then you as different men communicate in your life, some were good and some were bad.
Right.
So even though you reached out looking for that male bondness, that macho-ness, you never got that.
I never got the macho-ness.
Yeah.
I actually was On the outside, I was very macho. I was a hunter, fisherman,
Okay.
biker, bar scum. I was the bar hopped all the time. I'd stay out half the night drinking. While my family was at home sleeping.
Yeah, but you were a hunter. You fished. You like and plus I believe you said that you're good at hands. You know how to fix
I'm
machines.
very good at fixing things and welding. I'm a decent welder and love fabricating and building things. Reason as I am now, I can still do those things. That's not just a macho thing. It's called skills. I mean, even women have skills as such.
No, I agree. A lot of people have skills. Um,
So you shouldn't be defined as with the work that you do. That's kind of what I'm saying.
that's very good. People should not be defined by the work they do. I agree.
Or how they appear. I'm actually writing a book. I started writing a book.
Okay.
It's called A Book by Its Cover.
Okay.
Because you should never judge a book by its cover, because I'm a good example of that.
So what do you mean by that? You said you writing a book about cover. So what do you mean by that? What are you implying in terms of what you need to tell people?
Well, not everything is how it appears to be. You go through life being the bad boy or whatever, and but maybe you're not really truly like that, and then so you change, and now people look at you a different way and might think a different way now, so no matter how a person looks, you should never judge them by how they appear.
So you're a believer that people should not be judged
Period.
by period.
Yeah,
And you
especially
also,
by the way you look, by the way you talk,
because that does not
dress.
define
That
you.
does not define a person. Get to know someone first before you try to judge them. Now, not everybody's a good person, and you want to know, but I have been so privileged lately to meet some of the most fascinating people in my life. I am now surrounded by just wonderful, awesome people right now.
And before you didn't have that.
I did not have.
And why do you think you did not have it?
Because of the environment I chose to be in.
Okay, because of the environment that you chose to be in. So what you're telling everybody is the environment plays a tremendous impact on your life. Would you agree with that?
It is, yes. Because some environments you have no control over, All you have control over is the space that you take up. So a lot of times.
Okay. How do you reflect on your values from before to now?
Because before I might not have really had a whole lot of values. My thing was, providing for my family. I worked 2, 3 jobs, whatever it took. I was a good provider, but I wasn't a very good husband and stuff. I thought I was a good father. I did things with my kids. But even though I worked 7 days a week, sometimes 2 jobs, I still was a football coach helper, and a baseball coach, and took my kids fishing and hunting and hiking and camping. But evidently, I must have missed something because I don't get to see my kids anymore. So I'm thinking, I must not have been neither a great father or I know I was not a great husband. I do know that. But I feel today I'm a way better person. I've learned so much over the years that it's made me the things that I have learned have made me a better person.
And you've gained spirituality.
I have.
So tell me how spirituality has started to shape you and have you think, how you think.
It's changed my thinking. No longer doing drugs and alcohol. I just wake up with an attitude, every day that it's going to be a good day, and I make it a point to try to just help somebody every day. And I'm in a position where it's easy for me to do.
Well, but you said something earlier when we talked about you thought God had forsaken you. What made you think that?
It's just so many things. Had so many bad decisions, I have made, and so many things happen to you that after a while you just think God hates me. You ever heard anybody say God must hate me? Somebody up there hates me?
I mean,
And I felt that way, that somebody up there
I
hated
mean,
me.
there's no question that many of us, we blame God for a lot of things.
Yes,
True.
true.
that we blame him for a lot of things. But my point is that what made you decide that you thought he had forsaken you? I'm saying that because some people will say, God didn't answer my prayer, God didn't do what I wanted to do today, but they don't cut.
Well, he's
cord.
just taken everything away from me.
You
It
thought
seemed like he took everything away.
so. You thought
And
God,
actually, I lost it myself.
okay. You thought God took everything from you,
Yes.
but now you're saying you didn't think God took it from you.
No, now I'm saying that I know, looking back now, that was not true.
That was not true. It was you.
It was me.
So you're telling my audience out today, I understand somebody may feel the same way, and you're saying, what would you say to them? Based on what you just said, what would you say to my audience? Somebody out there who might think that way.
It's not God that has forsaken you. I believe you give up on yourself, maybe. And then God's an easy one to blame it on. It's easy to say God hates me instead of God loves me. You know what I mean? Especially when some, your everything you love gets taken from you. You have to blame somebody because you don't want to blame yourself.
Okay, you don't want to blame yourself, but go back to what you just said, about God loves and hates. How do you articulate that in terms of in terms of who you are, what you believe? Because the reason I'm asking that question is that I'm sure sometimes all of us, one day I may not think God don't love me, but the next day I think God loves me. It might be that particular moment, that particular time. So for you, was that once you felt that God had forsaken you, did you think that for a long period of time?
I did think that for a long period.
Oh, so you thought it for a long period
For
of
a
time. It
long
wasn't like
time.
that week it didn't happen before.
No, it was been years. When I went back to church probably 2 months ago, it was the first time I was afraid the walls were going to cave in on me. It's been that long since I had been there. I actually went in, I took confession, everything, and it had been 30 years probably since I was in church.
30 years.
Yes, sir.
So 30 years you thought God had forsaken you. And so therefore, when you thought God was forsaking you, you wanted to have no connected.
I did not.
No connected.
I did not connect.
So
every time something went wrong, it just seemed like there was just another nail in the coffin of him forsaking me.
So the question I want to ask then, so then you thought God stick you. So did you have any spirituality connect to anything? Did you think of anything? Or did you believe in anything at that point?
I did not.
You did not.
I did not.
You just believed you existed.
I just existed to pay the bills. That was what my existence was all about. To work and pay bills.
And so
stoned in between.
Okay, so 30 years you did not, and so then you walked in the church. You walked in the church and
something drew me in.
Okay.
I believe something drew me in.
Okay. And you went in, and then you
sat down, and I looked about me, and I thought, "Oh my God, this is it's so beautiful in here." And I began to cry and prayed to God to help me. Strength.
You prayed to God and asked for God to give you strength. strength to overcome after 30 years, to give you the strength to lift up what you felt?
Yes, and so come back to him, and I just sometimes you need something in your life to a higher being, higher cause. So
So
I
you
didn't
get
know it. I really didn't know it till I walked in there that day, but I guess I was looking for that. Just looking for something, and I think that's after walking in there, I figured out that must be what I was looking for. I was very happy to be there, and I went to mass that same week, and once again, I cried. That's also, that's for, it's like a relief, I guess. It's release.
so
I was overjoyed,
Sure.
overcome with emotion.
okay.
Start crying.
So you were overcome with emotion. So now you've connected back to God.
I have.
So after 30 years that you believed that God had forsaken you, and now you realize that
I was the one.
you were the one.
I'd forgotten about him.
You forgotten about him. And during that time,
blamed him for my shortcomings,
during that time, did anybody ever try to influence you did anybody ever try to influence you to tell you maybe you should look back at the church or back at God?
No, I didn't surround myself with anybody like that.
So you didn't surround yourself with anybody that
I wouldn't have wanted to.
you wouldn't have wanted to. So what you're saying, even somebody would have came to you, you wouldn't have wanted to. And why wouldn't you wanted to?
Because I had it in my head that
You had it in your head
God hated me.
that God hated you.
I did.
And nobody could tell you that God didn't.
No, at that time, no. With what I'm going through right now, my thinking is changing. And like I said, I was reaching out for something. He didn't really know what it was, but like I said, once I walked into church and sat down, it just felt like a whole ton of weight was lifted off of my shoulders. It was so I don't know how to say it. It was inspiring.
So you have peace and joy and comfort now?
I have much more peace.
Much more peace.
Yes. We all have issues.
Sure.
I still have issues, but
We all have issues, right? But you don't blame God in it.
I do not blame God.
But what made you? I'm still. What made you think? Why'd you put it all on God?
Well, why would he took my dad at 9.
Okay.
I mean that really.
Okay.
That really stuck with me.
Okay.
When I was raised Catholic, I used to walk to church with my grandfather.
Okay.
Every Sunday when I was a little boy, and went to St. Rose of Lima in New York when I was a teenager and stuff.
Interesting. I guess what I want to ask you now, because I want to turn to a much more a good place that you think you're in a good place now. So I guess for the next few minutes, I would like for you to share with my audience what you would like for this conversation that you and I have. What you would like for them to accomplish? What would you like to accomplish for my audience to hear? Because that's why you're here. One of the reasons you're here, because you want to tell your story. But the other thing is that you want to share your journey so somebody can say, "Oh, I understand," or want to give them hope.
Well, you should always keep in mind that, like I said, you need to be true to yourself. Know who you are. Be who you want to be. Who you are inside. We shouldn't have to hide who we really are in this day and age, because it's just not healthy for you to hold things in and hide, all the time, trying to be something that you're not. Sometimes it takes a higher power to help you navigate through your life. And I advise people to reach out to their higher power and help let their higher power navigate their life for them. Help keep them strong and give them something to lean on. Everybody needs something to lean on, someone to talk to. If you reach out to someone that needs help, it makes you feel so good helping somebody else out, making someone else feel good. However simple it could be, change somebody's day just by being kind. That's where I'm at now. I like being the kind person.
So what you're saying is that we all should be much more kinder. We should
More giving
of
of ourselves, even to people.
ourselves.
Volunteer at your local shelter, your local soup kitchen or pantry or whatever. It just feels so good to make someone else smile. They remember you for that.
So you're saying being kind is very important.
It is.
So is that how you see your life going now? Is that what you want your legacy to be?
I do. Yes, I want to continue helping people. I want to figure out more ways to help people. Volunteer in the community. And
now you don't have any guilt for what you did the 30 years. You moved past it.
No, I carry guilt. You can't help but carry some guilt.
So you do carry guilt.
I do carry guilt.
On yourself?
I do. For some of the things that
don't you?
I've done things that I'm not proud of.
I understand that you might have not done some things that you're not proud of, but when you look in the mirror and wouldn't you see yourself as a different person now?
I do.
So if you look at yourself and you see yourself as a different person, why do you reflect back to who you used to be?
That's a good question. I guess I'm not quite there yet. I'm a work in progress.
Okay, I think that.
I'm being honest.
Sure.
I am. I'm a work in progress. There's no doubt about that. I'm not a saint. I'm not trying to be a saint.
I understand that. But at least I asked you.
I'm trying to be a good person.
And that's fine. At least you're honest. You're saying, hey, I'm not there. I want to ask you another question too, because I think it's very important. Because sometimes I talk about one of the things, especially in the minority community, mental health is a real issue. And we don't deal with it in the minority community the way we should deal with it. Now, you talked about a therapist you have a therapist, right?
I do.
So did you think the therapist is important and you think people should go and get help?
I believe if you're feeling that, if you're feeling bad and you need a therapist there's a very good way to go. Because like I said, he's helped me through many of tough times. I've been through a lot of loss and he's helped me through a lot of it. I put my dog down a couple of years ago. He was my best friend in this whole world. I had him for 13 years. And so that was another.
So you're saying people need to talk to people. People need to have friends.
They do.
Mm-hmm. You just can't.
Someone to talk to bounce things off of, ask for some advice. Just even to get someone else's opinion about things, It's important to have a network, a support. You need some support, whether it's through your doctor's office or your psychiatrist or the community center, the church. You need to have people around you that care about you.
So three things you said on this program. People should not judge people based on what they look like, right?
Yeah, oh yes,
They shouldn't. And you also said they should they should develop friendships. And if they have some other issues, if they need to go therapy, whatever, they can't go by themselves. So let me ask you this here. We're getting ready to run out of time. In 3 minutes, tell my audience what you want to tell them. What you want to tell them. Not me, what you want to tell them. What you think they need to know.
About me or?
About, doesn't have to be about you, but what you think the message that you want to leave with the audience. Not about you, not necessarily, no. Maybe somebody out there is like you, or maybe somebody is not like you, but maybe going through a transition or whatever it is. So I would like for you to give your thought in terms of that.
Well, I am actually going through a transition right now, and again, I believe you should be true to yourself. Since I have started this transitioning, it's making me think a little differently, and I believe that everyone should look at themselves in the mirror and like who they are in the mirror. Don't be afraid to take a chance and be who you want to be, because you might like who it is that you actually want to be. And maybe other people will too.
Okay, if that's what you feel. You've said some good things here today. You talked about who you are and where you've come from, and you've had a long journey.
I have.
But I think the most important part is that you feel that you got God on your side now.
I do feel I'm going in the right direction. I think God's helping me get there.
Why do you think that?
Because better things are happening, I have a new way of feeling, a new way of thinking. It's not come easy, but I feel that I can feel it inside.
So you can feel it inside you.
I can.
So you could feel the spirit in you.
I feel the warmth. Yeah, I feel
Okay.
a different kind of feeling in my body and my soul, and my brain.
Okay. Well, we're going to leave it there. Thank you for joining us this evening. I hope that somebody out there listened to what Willa had to say, and maybe think about some people that you know that might be a Willa, or even what you may be going through, because life always has peaks and valleys, but we have to have hope. And Willa got a second chance, and he's taking that second chance, and now he wants to do all the rights of all the wrongs that he did. Would you say that?
That would be a good way to say
That would be a good way to say it. And like he said earlier, he thought God had forsaken him, but now he's
sitting here with Richard.
Sitting here with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So have a good evening, everyone, and looking to see you in the new year. And happy holidays to all.
Thank you for joining the Richard Utley Show on The Voice 17104. We will be here on The Voice 17104 every first and third Tuesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Once again, thanks for viewing. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Richard Utley, and we welcome your questions and or comments.